I am Ranjana Saxena from the University of Delhi. I welcome you all to this course, Basics of Russian Communication Skills, Part 2. Our module is called, in Russian, Искусство, Литература и Человек. In English, it means the art and human beings. Students, I am sure that you are aware of the fact that Russian literature is one of the greatest literatures in the world. Probably you have heard the names of world famous writers like Pushkin, Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Chekhov, Gorky, Akhmatova, Pasternak, etc. Their creative writings like War and Peace, Anna Karenina, Mother, Requiem, Dr. Zhivago are probably known to you. We will shortly be talking about these writers and their writings at a later stage. But first, we would like to engage you with a very fundamental question. We know that every society, each language has its own literary heritage and literature. We also know that literary writings come under a bigger umbrella called the art. But then, what art is and how we define literature in the context of the influence it can have on us. With this aim in mind, this module has been prepared for you. And the aim of the module we are presenting now, Цель нашей единицы – определить сущность искусства, выделить различные виды искусства, узнать специфику художественной литературы и установить разницу между наукой и литературой. The aim of this module is to define the essence of art, various forms of art, to get to know the specificity of literature. We will also be touching upon the question of differences between literature and science in this module. First, I would like to introduce you to all the new words that we are going to come across in this module. Сначала давайте познакомимся незнакомыми словами в нашем тексте. Так, новые слова, new words in the text. Единица, unit, module. Определить, что, define. Отношение, relationship. Природа, nature. Особый, specific. Художественный, creative, artistic. Вид, type. Форма, form. Образ, character, image. Искусство, art. Изображать, кого, что. To depict whom and what. Действительность, reality. Событие, event. Мысль, thought. По-разному, differently. Чувство, feeling. Живопись, painting. Sculptura, sculpture. Architectura, architecture. Students, you may notice that some of the words in Russian, they are very close in English also. For example, the words we just did, sculptura, which means sculpture, architectura, which means architecture, theater, theatre, musica, music, nauka, science. Показывать, что, to show what, доказывать, prove, mind, убеждать, to prove, влиять, to have influence, писатель, writer, one of the most important word in our vocabulary now, прикладное искусство, applied art, изящное, refined, graceful. Now we move on to the basics of our module, and the first question is, now what is art? Так, что такое искусство? Просто говоря, искусство – это все, что существует вокруг нас, да? Это продукты искусства. Всякая скульптура, архитектура, живопись, памятники, кино, произведения, литературе и так далее. Принято считать, что искусству столько лет, сколько человечеству. It has been said that art is as old as the humanity itself. Это значит, что искусство в той или иной форме всегда было вокруг нас. This also goes to say that art in its various art forms, they were always around us as we grew up, as we came about. Так, история доказывает, что искусство и человек всегда были тесно связаны. And history also tells us, it shows us, it gives us many examples to say that human beings were always surrounded by art and its various forms, and there were always very, very close connections between art and human beings. Now, coming to the next question, каковы значения слова искусство? What are the various meanings of the word искусство? Первое значение. Словом искусство можно указывать на умелость человека. Это может быть любое практическое мастерство, например, кулинарное искусство, умение делать что-либо, ремесло. The word искусство in its first meaning can be any talent, art also. For example, somebody has culinary talent, some may have some kind of other talent, some kind of capacity, some kind of capability to engage with some kind of art form or anything which is very talented. In its second meaning, второе значение – это художественное творчество. Это совокупность произведений. In its second meaning, it could mean creative writings. Третье значение, the third meaning, is эстетически красивые произведения прикладных и изящных искусств. Now, we would like to also tell you that there are various types of art forms. Виды искусства. Так, теперь мы уже знаем, что искусство – это специальная форма общественного значения. Now we know that art is a very specific form of social awareness. Это способ понимания мира. It is a way of understanding the world. В зависимости от выбора человека выразить себя существуют различные виды искусства. Now, depending on the way people would like to express themselves, in which way they want to do it, there could be very many forms of art. Вот различные виды искусства. So these are the following ways in which people can express themselves, and accordingly there are various types of art forms. For example, живопись, то есть painting, you already know, скульптура, то есть sculpture, архитектура, architecture, театр, theatre, музыка, music, кино, film, and finally, of course, the most important for us for our module, художественная литература, that is creative writings or fiction. Now, we would also like to know, now what is художественная литература, what is creative writings? Now, students, I would like to ask you a question. Как вы думаете, когда человек не имел письменности, была ли тогда художественная литература или нет? So, did we have literature when humans did not have any writing skills? The answer would be yes, we had literature even then, though in those times it existed only in oral forms. Oral people's literature was called folklore. This we have already told you. Тогда также была литература, однако тогда она имела устный характер, тогда она называлась фольклором. Так, Художественная литература – это все письменные работы, написанные писателями и поэтами. Это рассказы, повести, романы, стихи, драмы и так далее. So, coming back to creative writings, one may say that literature is all those works that have been written by writers, novelists, poets, and so on. These may be novels, stories, drama, poetry, etc. Художественная литература – это вид искусства. So, literary writings – it's a type of art form. А вы знаете, в чем сущность художественной литературы? So, do you know the essence of literary writings? Okay, we will talk about this also. Это искусство слова. It is the art of the word. Она также называется зеркалом общества. Literature is also called a mirror of the society. Художественная литература является диалогом и общением между людьми. Literary writings, creative writings are also called a dialogue and a communication between people. They serve as a communication or as a bridge between people. Художественная литература изображает действительность, жизнь человека, его мысли, эмоции, отношения с обществом и природой. Creative writings, we know that creative writings, they depict the reality, and along with the reality, they depict the life of the people, their thought processes, their ideas, their emotions, their relationship with the society, with other people, and with nature. В конце давайте посмотрим, какая разница между наукой и литературой. Now we would like to also focus on the question of what is the difference between literature and science. Как отличается литература от науки? How literature is different from science? Наука и литература оба изучают жизнь и ее законы. We know that science and literature, they both study life, they both look into the laws of life and its development. Оба стремятся изменить жизнь в интересах людей и общества. Both science and literature, they strive to change the life for the good in the interest of the people and the society. Но литература и наука делают это по-разному. But we know that literature and science, they both do the same thing but do in a very different manner. Science and literature both try to comprehend life and its laws. Both strive to change it for the good of the society, but differently. So, now looking at the ways what science does and what literature does, we can add that наука доказывает, а писатель показывает жизнь. So, the science may prove things in life, whereas the writer may like to show us life. Science proves, but literature shows us the life. Наука убеждает логическими доводами, а писатель убеждает словами, образами. A scientist gives logical explanations, whereas literature tries to convince through words, through images. Наука влияет на ум, а писатель влияет на чувства человека. A scientist influences our minds, whereas a writer tries to influence our feelings. Наука всегда делает вывод, а писатель не всегда делает выводы. We know that science always forwards conclusions, proves things for us, whereas a writer may not always try to prove life to us, he may only try to show life to us. Now, we would want you to remember a few things, and for this we have put some certain question and answers so that you remember the basic ideas of this module. Запомните, remember, что такое художественная литература? What is creative writing? Художественная литература – это вид искусства, это искусство слова, она также называется зеркалом общества. Что изображает художественная литература? What does creative writing depict? Художественная литература изображает внутренний и внешний мир человека. Creative writings, they throw a light on the internal as well as the external world of human beings. Она изображает действительность. A literary writing depicts the life, жизнь человека, его мысли, эмоции, отношения с обществом. Как художественная литература показывает действительность? Художественная литература изображает действительность в образах. Now, this is a very important point, students, that everybody can depict and show the reality, but a creative writer does it in a very special manner. A creative writer actually creates images for you. It tries to show you reality not just as it is given, but he or she creates literary images that make an impact on your minds. Какие виды искусства вы знаете? What are the different forms of art do you know? Различные виды искусства – это живопись, скульптура, архитектура, театр, музыка, литература. Это все, что окружает вас. This is all that surrounds us in our life. Как художественная литература отличается от науки? Now, this question we have already dealt with you, but just to again reinforce the point, how literary writing is different from writing of science. Наука доказывает жизнь, а писатель показывает жизнь. Наука влияет на ум, а писатель влияет на чувства и эмоции человека. Now, giving you a brief summary of this module, I would like to tell you that in this module, we were able to define the essence of art, its various forms. We got to know the specificity of literature. In this part, we also highlighted the differences between the oral and the written literature. We also touched upon the question of differences that exist between literature and science. So, you have already been made aware of the essence of art, various forms of art, the specificity of literature, the difference between the oral and the written literature, as well as the difference between literature and science. Now, we are moving into a different realm. You are also aware of the role and functions of literature in any society. Some introduction has been given on the basics of the theory of literature. We are now moving in the realm of the history of Russian literature. We are taking up the question of introduction to ancient Russian literature. So, what we are going to tell you now, that what are the specificities of ancient Russian literature? Особенности древней русской литературы мы будем вам рассказывать. Мы также будем выделить характерные черты древней русской литературы. We will also try to understand the periodization of ancient Russian literature. Мы также будем понять периодизацию древней русской литературы. Вначале можно сказать, что русскую литературу до XVIII века принято назвать древней русской литературой. So, to begin with, we can say that traditionally all literature that existed up to the 18th century in Russia falls under the category of ancient Russian literature. Разницу между новой и древней русской литературой сразу заметна. В древней русской литературе есть только исторические лица, нет детально разработанных характеров персонажей, она тесно связана с рассказами Библии и культурой Византии. The difference between the new and the ancient Russian literature immediately becomes clear to the reader. For example, ancient Russian literature has lots of historical personalities, and these characters are not developed in the framework of literary characterization. Abundance of stories from the Bible and close relationship with the cultural ethos of the Byzantine culture may be termed as yet another major difference between the ancient and the new Russian literature. Давайте познакомимся с новыми незнакомыми словами. Russian literature. Особенности древней русской литературы. Как мы уже знаем, письменность на Руси пришла в X веке. Первые литературные произведения также появились в Древней Руси только в X веке. До этого времени у русского народа было устное поэтическое творчество, то есть, который называется фольклором. So, it was only in the 10th century that written language came to Russia. We know that it came to Russia along with Christianity. Till then, the Russian people had already developed a rich and oral tradition of literature that we now call the folklore. Древняя русская литература – это литература, которая начинается с X века до XVI века. Первые книги на Руси были рукописные. Их писали на пергаменте до конца XVI века, потому что бумаги в это время не было. В середине XVI века книги начали печатать. Ancient Russian literature, this is the literature that was written during the 10th to the 16th century. The first books that were written were actually written by hand. Up to the end of the 14th century, they were written on parchments. From the mid-16th century, printing of books began in Russia. Древняя Русь имела великую литературу. Первые произведения древней русской литературы – это летописи, проповеди, жития, хождения, повесть и так далее. Ancient Russian literature forms a great literary tradition in Russian literature. The first written works were in the genre of chronicles, sermons, biographies or hagiography of saints, stories, travelogues, etc. Now we would talk about the various genres that were part of the ancient Russian literature. Жанры древней русской литературы, or the genres or types of writings in ancient Russian literature. The first and the foremost and most important was the genre of летопись. Now, what is a летопись? What is a chronicle? Летопись – это вид древней литературы, который рассказывает об исторических событиях каждого года. Проповедь или поучение – это вид древней русской литературы, который учит и воспитывает человека. Житие – вид древней литературы, который рассказывает о жизни святого человека. Хождение – это вид древней литературы, который рассказывает о путешествиях. That is the travelogues which talk about the various travels of people, especially the saints. Повесть – это рассказ о важных исторических событиях. The story, and that we know, повесть временных лет in this league is the story about various historical incidents. Характерные черты древней русской литературы. Now we move on to give the characteristic features of the ancient Russian literature. So, the characteristic features of ancient Russian literature, first of all, is its historicism. Историзм произведения. Произведения древней литературы основаны на фактах. We know that the earlier writings of ancient Russian literature, their historical facts played a very important role, and mostly the writers actually recorded Это рукописи хранились в церквях, and these manuscripts were kept in the church. Основные хранителями и переписчиками книг в Древней Руси были монахи. Basically, it was the monks who wrote these works and also preserved them in the church. Another characteristic of ancient Russian literature is its anonymity of the writer. Анонимность древней русской литературы. The author is anonymous. After большинство произведений нам неизвестны, we do not really know who actually wrote these chronicles. Древнерусские книжники считали, что их имя не должно звучать в произведении, поскольку их литературная деятельность – это Божий дар. Something very interesting that the chroniclers and the writers of ancient Russian literature thought that they were able to write, it is a gift that they have got from the God, and their own names should not be written on these writings. The fifth characteristic of ancient Russian literature, вариативность произведений, variation in the work. Произведения переписывались, добавлялись, поэтому оно произведение существовало во множествах вариантах. These works were written and rewritten, and people kept on adding, and that is why there were many variants of one work. Древняя русская литература, периодизация. Now we will talk about the periodization of ancient Russian literature. По мнению Дмитрия Лихачева выделяются следующие периоды. According to the critic Dmitry Likhachev, the various periods of ancient Russian literature are the following. The first period, первый период – это XI век, начало XII века. Это единая киевская литература. The first period is from the 11th and the 12th century, and this is the time of the Kievian literature. Литература развивается в двух центрах – Киев и Новгород. This is the time when literature develops in two centers, the city of Kiev and Novgorod. Второй период – середина XII и первая треть XIII века. Появляются новые литературные центры – Суздаль, Ростов и так далее. Появляются местные темы. The second period is the middle of 12th century and the first third of the 13th century. New literary centers come up like the cities of Suzdal and Rostov, and also literature has more local themes in it. Третий период – это конец XIII и начало XIV века, период монголо-татарского нашествия. The third period is the 13th and the 14th century. This is the period of the Mongol-Tatar invasion. В литературе одна главная тема – тема борьбы с врагами, появление темы трагизма, patriotism. This is a time when literature is full of the theme of patriotism and tragedy of the war. Четвертый период – конец XIV века, первая половина XV века. Русь экономически и культурно развивается. The fourth period, this is the 14th century and the first half of the 15th century. Russia at this time is developing culturally and economically. Пятый период, вторая половина XV века. В древней русской литературе возникают переводные произведения, происходит демократизация литературы. The fifth period in which we get translated literature coming in from the other countries, and also this happens to be the time when there is democratization of literature. Шестой период, середина XVI века. Главная особенность – господство publicistического стиля. The sixth period is the mid-16th century, and the basic feature of this period is the publication of lot of journalistic style of works. Now, we can take up some points to remember. Когда и почему в Древней Руси появляются первые литературные произведения? В Древней Руси появляются первые литературные произведения, потому что письменность пришла на Руси в X веке. Какие были книги в Древней Руси? В Древней Руси были рукописные книги их писали на пергаменте до конца XVI века. Когда на Руси стали печатать книги, в середине XVI века. О чем рассказывает древнерусская литература? Древнерусская литература рассказывает об истории русского народа, событиях настоящего или прошлого времени. So, in this part of the module on ancient Russian literature, we covered many aspects related to the functioning and existence of the same. Mainly, we touched upon the specificities of this literature. We also talked about the characteristic features of ancient Russian literature. Finally, we highlighted the periodization of the same. From here, one can now move on to Russian literature of new times. Thank you.